Alright people, what is happening? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2021 My Team series here on the channel. Today is the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. It is the 12th race of this season. Remember, there are only 16 races in this season, so we are getting towards the end of this season 4 of the My Team series. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an upload in this series as we come to the final of this season. Can we win the Drivers' Championship? Checking out the standings, as you can see, we are 41 points behind our teammate Lewis Hamilton with 5 races left to go in the season. Can we win that championship, boys? Can we make up 41 points in those 5 races? I think to do that, we'd have to win every single race that's left on the calendar. Monza and Russia, definitely 2 strong tracks for me as well on this game. So looking forward to these next 2 races. Let's get into this one in Monza, see what we can do. Like I say, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and hit the like if you haven't already. Getting into Q1, you can see it's a very wet and rainy day here in Italy for qualifying. We do normally skip Q1 now in these videos. If you've watched the last few episodes of this series, we skip Q1 because we normally just absolutely smash it, so there's no point in watching it. But look at that, we're only down in P10, struggling in the rain there. Down in P10 with a 127 flat, 1.2 seconds off the pace that our teammate Lewis Hamilton did set. And we've just set the fastest lap there in Q2 to go P1 with a 126.6. But we're going to go again on another flying lap, hitting the apex of turn 1 and turn 2 very nicely, being careful on the throttle as we come out of there in the wet. Very easy to spin coming out to turn 2 in Monza. We've got the 2 Mercedes in P1 and P2 and P3, sorry, and the 2 AlphaTauris in P4 and P5. There goes Max Verstappen setting a new fastest lap of the session. He replaces us up in P1. We've actually set a purple sector 1, bit of oversteer coming through that chicane there, managing to keep the car on the track though and out of the gravel. But then we go into the gravel lane, bit too wide on the exit of Lesmo 1, down into Lesmo 2, taking a lot of curb on the entry and on the exit, and we've lost. We had a 5/10 gap to our previous lap in the Delta. We were up 5/10, and that gap has come completely down to sub 1/10. Getting into the Ascari chicane, can we try and make up some more time through here? It doesn't look very neat at all, but as we come out of there, get a decent launch, 1.3 tenths quicker than our previous lap. We're going to improve on that lap as long as we can nail the Parabolica. I forgot what they renamed it to, so apologies for that. I'm just going to call it the Parabolica, the old video. I did that last season as well, I should have learned the name, but we come through there 3 tenths quicker than our previous lap, crossing the line. It's only good enough for P2 still, but this is only Q2, so we don't need to go for that P1 just yet. Lewis Hamilton takes that P1 spot in Q2 here. We of course qualify on intermediate tyres. There is no wet weather in the race though, so we do have a free choice of tyres to start the race on Sunday. So let's get into Q3, see if we can take that pole position. We haven't set a time yet. This is going to be our first flying lap that we do set. Crossing the line, let's see where it puts us. It is the fastest lap of the session. We're on provisional pole here in Monza with 1 minute left in the session. We're going on another push lap. We get a bit of a tow maybe from Callum Ilott there, down into turn 1, down to second gear for the right, and then up to third on the left hand there. We go green in the Delta ever so slightly. We did just set a purple sector on that previous lap, so it's no surprise that we might not improve here on that first sector. Down to the next chicane now, braking at the 100 metre board, taking a bit of the curb on the entry there. We turned in too early, had to correct the steering as we came through there into Lesmo 1, and we go up into the green now in the Delta. This is what we like to see. It feels like Callum Ilott though absolutely flying ahead of us. He's putting a gap in front of us, and I don't know how. We hit the DRS zone now, 2 tenths up on our previous lap, which was good enough for provisional pole. But Charles Leclerc takes provisional pole away from us, down into the Ascari chicane, taking a lot of curb on the first corner there. Very nice and neat through Ascari there. Jack Aitken now on provisional pole in the AlphaTauri. Lewis Hamilton then takes that provisional pole away from him. We have Pierre Gasly behind us, getting a big slipstream through the Parabolica. Callum Ilott absolutely racing away. I don't know how he was so much quicker than us. I thought we would have caught him by the end of our lap. We go 6 tenths quicker on our previous lap, which of course was good enough for provisional pole at the time. So we've improved on what was a pole lap. Let's see where that's put us by going 6 tenths quicker. P10? P10, boys? I don't know what is happening there, but we're in P10 to start the race in Monza. Like, I genuinely do not know what happened. Like, we're 1.4 seconds off the pace to Lewis Hamilton, and I genuinely don't know where I've lost 1.4 seconds. The car must have had damage. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe I took one of the curbs and got damage to the under tray. I do not know, but let's get into the race and see if we can redeem that poor quali session.
Welcome back to one of only 2 countries that has held a race every year since the very first Formula 1 World Championship in 1950. It is, of course, Italy, one of the great racing nations. And it's time to get underway for the Italian Grand Prix. With top speeds up to 215 miles per hour and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6-mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into Turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into Turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Aitken, Gasly, the owner driver, and Russell. Ireland, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Sainz, Tsunoda, they've taken a grid penalty, and Lando Norris. Stroll, Lundgaard, Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tictum, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher and Antonio Giovinazzi. Latifi, Ricciardo, Mazepin and Guan Yu Zhou. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So boys, after a lot of grid penalties, we're actually up into P5 on the grid, going with the one-stop strategy here in Monza, soft, medium, as the strategy to go for. We're actually up in P5, the 2 AlphaTauris in front of us, then Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. It is lights out and away we go. Here in Monza, we get off to an okay start compared to the cars next to us. We've already blitzed Pierre Gasly on that run down into Turn 1. Verstappen and Hamilton battling for P1 now. Jack Aitken up into P3 still. It's going to be wheel to wheel with Pierre Gasly through Turn 2. Almost had a Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen moment. Too wide going through the first chicane here in Monza. We are up into P4 though. Callum Ilott now in the Red Bull, just behind us, battling with Pierre Gasly, wheel to wheel with Gasly as they come through the first few corners, down into the chicane now. Gasly ahead of Callum Ilott. Now can we chase down Pierre Gasly's teammate Jack Aitken, who is in P3 in the AlphaTauri? Can we chase him down and get rid of him? And then go ahead and chase up the top 2, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. We do not want those two getting too far away from us, otherwise we'll end up in the Bottas zone. What I used to call the Bottas zone was P1 and P2 would be Lewis and Max, as it is in this race now, and then Bottas would be P3, but he'd be so far behind P2 then like there's no point in him trying to compete, but nobody in P4 or like further back would be able to compete with Bottas, so it became the Bottas zone. But of course Bottas is now at Alfa Romeo in real life, so I'm going to have to rename that for the next season of this game. Deep braking into the Parabolica to try and get a good launch out, and we do. Look at that, we get the switch back there on Jack Aitken, who's going to have the better straight line speed. Of course it's going to be us compared to that AlphaTauri car, but Jack Aitken holding his own here. I've not been able to clear him. We are using all of our battery that we can as well. Down into Turn 1 now then. We're obviously just going to outbrake Jack Aitken, or are we, as he tries to go around the outside? No, we are of course going to slot ahead. Now we are up into P3. The gap to Verstappen, it says is 1 minute 18 seconds on the left hand side, but that is not right. I don't know why it says that. That is not the gap to Verstappen. Yeah, that is so bizarre. But yeah, so we're chasing down Verstappen now, who does seem to be a fair bit ahead. You can't even see him on our camera angle here looking at us. Now we get back to it. 2.2 seconds Verstappen is ahead. You can see he's battling with Lewis Hamilton, who's 2.4 seconds ahead of us. So the gap between them is good enough for DRS. We are, of course, in DRS territory now, with it being lap 4. We just set the fastest lap of the race as well, so we definitely do have some pace around here in Monza. Can we try and close that gap to Verstappen and Hamilton, as Verstappen takes the lead from Lewis Hamilton? I think that's just happened in front of our eyes just then. Verstappen outbraking Hamilton into turn 1. If those two keep battling through turn 1 and turn 2, maybe we'll see a repeat of what happened in real life, with those two crashing out, and that would be ideal for someone like me, who's currently in P3 and then not going to win the race, if all goes to plan. So hopefully they can keep battling through turn 1 and turn 2, and we can capitalise on that. Even if they don't crash into each other, just battling through turn 1 and turn 2, costing each other a lot of time, allowing us to catch up. You can see the gap to P2 was 2 seconds, it's now 1.3. We are catching those guys in front of us. Purple sector 1, coming towards the end of sector 2. We do go red in sector 2. We do brake up very early for the Ascari chicane. I was thinking the braking point was 100 meters, the 100 meter board, and then like watching it back, I realized I could go to like the 50 or the 60 meter and brake there. So maybe that's where I lost all the time in quali, but it doesn't seem to be a problem in the race. We've nearly closed the gap to Hamilton to sub 1 second, or we have now, but we don't have DRS down the straight. Unfortunately, crossing the line there with a new fastest lap yet again, with a red middle sector as well. Still fastest though. There goes Hamilton and Verstappen. They're battling through turn 1 and turn 2 again. Verstappen over the curb, Hamilton bouncing over the curb. Luckily nobody landed on top of each other though. We have a bit of oversteer coming out to turn 2. Nobody landed on top of each other there. Verstappen stays ahead in P1. He's holding up our teammate very nicely indeed for us as we try and close this gap. You see they're trying to break the toe on each other by pulling to the side, but look, we are right on the gearbox now of Lewis Hamilton. We can close the gap through the Lesmos, hit the DRS zone which we are in right now, as you can see, down into Ascari, braking early again. That was also so we didn't go right in the back of Lewis Hamilton, which would not have been ideal. We do have a history of our teammates not doing very well in Monza. If you remember that time, Nico Rosberg was on for the win in season 3, but then Rosberg put it in the wall. Season 2 that was actually with Nico Rosberg. Season 3 was Michael Schumacher. I can't remember how Schumacher did it here. But down the main straight now, we're going to have DRS for the first time on this main straight in the slipstream of Lewis Hamilton, as he's got the slipstream on Max Verstappen. We pull to the inside, but Hamilton looks to cover the inside. Massive lock up there for Lewis Hamilton through turn 1 and turn 2. That is not going to be very helpful for Lewis Hamilton. He's going to have a massive flat spot on those front tyres now. I believe that would have been the front right that he locked up there, as he's trying to turn while braking at the same time. I thought maybe we could capitalise on that at that very moment, but we're going to have to wait our turn to try and attack Hamilton again. And there goes Nicholas Latifi out of the session very early in the race to see somebody out, and it is engine failure. Maybe I thought he was going to crash maybe, but it is engine failure for Nicholas Latifi very early in the race to do it. He pulls across to the side there, and he is out of the race. Lap 6. That's probably the earliest retirement we've seen all season. Down into the parabolica. Can we send one up the inside of Lewis Hamilton? That would have been a mistake. We stay behind Hamilton to get a good run down into turn 1 yet again, down the straight with DRS open. Look how close those 3 cars are at the front. We are probably closer to Lewis than he is to Max as well, or it's probably about the same. We come to the inside again. Can we have a look up the inside? Verstappen completely covering the inside. There goes Hamilton round the outside of turn 1. Verstappen yet again bouncing over the curb. Who's going to stay ahead here? It's Verstappen still ahead. We get a good launch ourselves out of turn 2 though. Lewis Hamilton covers the inside. We're going to go around the outside of Lewis Hamilton, coming around this flat out right hander. We actually get up into P2. Can we outbrake Max Verstappen down into the chicane here? We're going to park ourselves on the apex, bouncing over the curve slightly, but we're open to P1. Double overtake on Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. What a move that was. We just had so much speed coming out of turn 2, because of course Verstappen and Hamilton went wheel to wheel through there, compromised each other's line and traction coming through there, but we managed to fly ahead, and now already we've put a gap to Verstappen of more than 1 second. You see we crossed the line here to start lap 11, and the gap to Verstappen is 1.4 seconds as Verstappen comes into the pits on lap 11. Very early pit stop for Max Verstappen. Surely he's not going to try and do 16 laps on the medium tyres, and as you can see on the top left, he's actually swapped onto the hards So Verstappen onto the hard tyres with the undercut strategy. Who is going to have the better strategy? Is it going to be me and Lewis, who look like we're both going for the mediums? The gap to Lewis was 2 seconds, and he comes into the pits with an undercut on lap 12. We can see Lewis's pit stop from a bird's eye view. Hopefully he has a clean one. We can see where he comes out after his pit stop as well. Hopefully for our teammate, he does have a clean one. It looks very neat and clean from the team. Very quick pit stop indeed as Lewis heads to the end of the pit lane. He's lost 2 places to Sainz and Aiken, but he's going to come out ahead of George Russell in the Williams and Max Verstappen in that Red Bull. You can see there they almost meet down in turn 1. That is exactly what happened in real life. Hamilton came out the pits and met Verstappen into turn 1, but Hamilton, with the overcut strategy, he actually gains a position on Max Verstappen. So with the strategy, he has absolutely nailed it. And then we go ahead and send ourselves into the box this lap. We're going to box this lap, but there is a yellow flag in sector 1, boys, and that looks like it might be the purple dot of Lewis Hamilton dropping back there in that yellow flag zone. I wonder what's going on over there. We're going to just focus on our race. And Lewis Hamilton is out of the session, boys. This is exactly what we needed. We needed Lewis Hamilton to retire from one of these last 5 races in the season. The gap is 41 points to Lewis at the top of the championship. We need to make up 41 points, and a DNF is absolutely huge, especially when we're running in P1. It's engine failure for Lewis Hamilton for the first time this season. Lewis Hamilton will DNF this race here in Monza. We come into the pit. The gap to Verstappen behind 27 seconds. Can we get our pit stop done and get out before Verstappen comes and tries to claim that P1 position back? Going on to the medium tyres, which will obviously give us more life towards the end of this race compared to Verstappen's hard tyres, which are already 2 laps old, or 3 laps old nearly. Decent pit stop, 2.8 seconds, not the quickest I've ever seen. Verstappen coming around the parabolica now, heading down that main straight. Who's going to come out first? Is it going to be us or is it going to be Verstappen? Verstappen nowhere to be seen as we head down into turn 1. We're going to come out to the pit lane, and the gap to Verstappen 5 seconds, 5.2 seconds. The gap to Verstappen, the overcut, working wonders compared to his undercut. It looked like Verstappen actually got caught in traffic once he did come in for those hard tyres. Coming out to turn 1, you can see the gap's now at 8 seconds. I don't know how we've just made up 3 seconds, or it's down to 4 now as we head into that yellow flag zone because our teammate Lewis Hamilton parked on the side of the road. Exactly what we needed though, boys. We're up into P1 after our pit stop. 14 laps left in this race. As long as we keep it on the track and bring it home, we win this race. And as you can see, that's what we did for the next 14 laps. We stayed ahead. No threat from Max Verstappen from behind. Lap 27 coming through the Ascari chicane, clipping the inside curve, a little bit of oversteer. My heart absolutely went. If he would have dropped it right there on the final lap of the race, I would have cried. Heading down into the parabolica now though is lap 27 of 27. It's P1 in Monza. Can we do it, Daniel Ricciardo? Can we win in Monza? We're going to cross the line. It's a checkered flag, and we do win in Monza.
Inshallah.
Fantastic drive, just fantastic. You deserve that race win.
Absolutely massive race there for us boys in the championship. Guan Yu Zhou with driver of the day. We get the win, 25 points for a win in F1. We also got fastest lap though, which is an extra point, so 26 points. The gap was 41 points to Lewis Hamilton. Take away the 26 from that. I'll let you do the maths because I don't want to right now. Max Verstappen finishing in P2. P3 was actually Callum Ilott. I thought Ilott retired from this race, or am I absolutely tripping? I must be absolutely tripping. But getting to the podium celebrations, Red Bull with a 2-3, making up some points in the Constructors title. But I believe me and Lewis just need a 1-2 in Russia to win the Constructors Championship. I think that would put us out of reach in terms of points. Or maybe, I think it's 27 points we need actually to win the Constructors, so maybe we can do that next time out in Russia. You'll see the leaderboard in a moment with the standings once we skip through the podium celebrations. There is of course the standings, final standings of the race, confirmation of the 26 points for us as we get the fastest lap of the race, up from P5 to P1. You love to see it. Lando Norris up from P10 into P6. 2 Mercedes had a bit of a climb there. Lewis Hamilton DNFing from the race though, exactly what we needed. After our DNF in Silverstone, I needed that bit of luck for Lewis to get a DNF, and if he gets another one before the end of the season, we might have just clinched the driver's title by luck. But hopefully we can try and win it on the track. That would be more entertaining for me and probably for you as a viewer. Guan Yu Zhou up 10 places. Let's get to the standings. You can see the gap in the driver standings is just 15 points now. So really all to play for with 4 races left in the season. Really all to play for is going to be good, this one, boys. We are 163 points ahead of Red Bull in the Constructors. Like I say, we need 20-something points to win the Constructors. Hopefully we can do that next time out in Russia. Stay tuned for the next race. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss an upload in this series. Just 4 episodes left, boys, of Season 4 of the My Team series. Can we win the Drivers and the Constructors Championship and go out on a high in Season 4? A few of our engine components looking worn there, but I don't want to change them, because when you change them to a brand new component, you run the risk of that component being faulty, and obviously you'll end up DNFing the race if that component fails. If you don't know, the engine components are pre-decided, like which ones will fail. It's not random. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's pre-decided, so we don't want to take any unnecessary risks. Russia is the next GP. Shouldn't be racing here. Shouldn't be saying the name of it. But it's F1 My Team. You know what I mean? What's skipping a race in F1 My Team going to do for real life? Let's not talk about that. I'll see you next time out at the Sochi GP. Just saying that, make it better. I don't know. Don't miss the next episode though, boys. Like, comment, share and subscribe. You know the vibes. I will catch us next time. Take it easy.